What's going on, guys? It's PokePond back with another video for you. I got my Guardian Bulbasaur up above here. Do love him. Today we got so much to talk about. We're talking about Destined Rivals, Prismatic, reprints, 151, Journey, Surgeon, all the old boxes that are smashing it on the markets. Your Evolving Skies, your Fusion Strike, your Astral Radiance, Brilliant, Silver. It's a massive jam-packed episode where we do a full analysis, price predictions, the lot. Make sure you subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity. Let's get into it. So to start off today, we're going to jump straight into Destined Rivals. Obviously, Destined Rivals is coming out super soon on the 30th of this month, so we're just under a week away from Destined Rivals coming out, and prices are still pretty crazy on the pre-order. But when you think about how much of a hyped set this actually is, prices aren't too bad. I'm not moving in on it yet. I'm going to wait and see what happens with the release. I think we're going to have plenty of opportunity to buy Destined Rivals, especially if you're willing to pay over retail. And where the prices are at the moment, I think that if you're willing to pay that much over retail, you may as well just wait, because you might get it a little bit cheaper. My personal opinion is that the cheapest time to move into Destined Rivals is probably going to be about 6 to 8 weeks after release, because that's when things will have settled down a little bit. I don't think it's going to get much cheaper than what it is right now, but let's have a look at the prices at the moment. So TCG Player last sales $254. This is all pre-order stuff. That is $10 lower than the last few sales, and there were quite a few sales at $264 as well, so it's coming down a little bit in price. But like I said, I would personally just wait a little bit, especially if you're doing it from an investment point of view. If you're going to FOMO into it and you really just want one in your collection and you want to make sure you've secured one, then by all means go ahead. $265, around about $100 over retail at the moment, last sold for the pre-orders from the secondary market, and in the UK £206. It's not that bad, to be honest. 206 is quite a bit over retail. Bear in mind as well, we've never really seen this before, where a set has come out so much over retail. In my whole time doing this, I've never seen a set go for that much over retail on a pre-sale. So it's kind of crazy, but we are right at the top of like a hype market cycle at the moment, so it's not surprising, to be honest. But 206 is really not too bad. I mean, we're talking about actual retail is like 150 something. I know that Pokemon Center sells stuff for like 140, 143, 146 for the old retail price, but Scarlet and Violet recommended retail is actually around about 155 or 156 or something like that. So we're talking about £50 over retail, which is still bordering on 30% over retail. But that's the price you're going to pay on pre-orders. Now, me personally, I'm not paying over £200. So, I mean, if I see one in a few weeks' time for like around about the 180 mark, that's going to be, what, £30? $50 over retail, then maybe I'll pull the trigger on one or two, but I'm just going to wait and hold out a little bit, and I recommend you guys do the same. Like I said, 6 to 8 weeks after release, I think it's going to be the sweet spot, and I don't think you'll get any for retail. Unless you're really lucky and you see it out in the wild, I think you need to expect to be paying, in the US, you might get one for $200 in a few weeks' time. And in the UK, I think anything around about the 180 mark is a no-brainer, and we just move in on that then, because it's just such a hype set. It's probably set to be one of the top 3 sets of Scarlet and Violet going forward. Obviously, I can't say that for sure because we haven't seen what else is going to come yet in the era, but I think it's going to be top 3 Destined Rivals, and it's quite iconic as well. I think it's going to do well. Journey Together continuing to reduce down in price. It's kind of hovering around about the 220 mark in the US, but that's because there hasn't been many restocks. There's still not much stock available in the US. But prices are really starting to come down on Journey, and I expect them to continue to come down as well. I think Journey Together is really going to be one of those sets that they're going to get wrong, and they're going to massively overprint it over the next 12 months. And I think you're going to see retail price Journey Together, or if not retail price, very close to retail price Journey Together in the US and in the EU fairly soon. I mean, we're already starting to see it a little bit here in the UK. It's not been difficult over the last week or two to pick up retail priced Journey Together here in the UK, and I think that will be coming across the pond to the US as well. It's just going to take a little bit of time for them to push that product out into the market, but I do think it really will. Well, it really will happen. If you're new to the channel, I compare both US markets and UK markets. So if you're on either side of the pond, either side of the PokePond, from the US side or the EU side, you'll probably get something out of these videos. Often we can draw similarities between what's going on with our two markets, and we can get a bigger picture on what's going on in the global Pokemon market, especially when it comes to demand for products, because quite often you'll see prices are really influenced, especially on new sets, by the supply. However, if EU's actually got more supply of a product and we're seeing prices come down, we can often draw the conclusion that it's really just a supply shortage which is artificially inflating the US market, and vice versa. And we see that a lot, and we've seen that a lot over the last 12 to 18 months on this channel, and we've been able to make some really accurate predictions off of comparing the two markets and just looking at the global market as a whole. So the last sold in eBay US for the enhanced version is $200, which I think is fairly reasonable, but I do expect it to come back down in price. That's what, for 94? That must have something crazy going on with it. Yeah, 206 for another enhanced version there. Yeah, and the non-enhanced version is going a bit cheaper if I can find one. Where's the last sold? There's just so many enhanced ones in the US at the moment. These are all enhanced. I'm going past. Yeah, basically all enhanced. There you go, there's one going for $190. Can't actually see any last sales for a non-enhanced one, so it looks like the US is just flooded with them at the moment. But yeah, $200 for Journey Together enhanced. In the UK, we're getting a mix of the two boxes, so $180 for the enhanced, and look at this, $160 for the non-enhanced. I actually bought some from a secondary retailer over the last week. They've been in stock for quite a while in the UK for around about the 150 mark, which is kind of bang on retail price. You can pick up the halves for retail as well. That's an EU exclusive. We get these half booster bundle, not booster bundle, half booster boxes, which have 18 packs. It is an EU exclusive. I'm not sure if they're going to get massively printed over in the US. I'd like to see them move to the US because they're a fantastic product to have. They are essentially half a booster box for those US viewers that haven't seen them before. You are starting to see more come over into the US, but a lot of that is just because they're getting imported or arbitraged from the UK and other EU places. And they're just, oh, this is a foreign one actually. Yeah, that's a German version. Apologies for any background sound that's going on at the moment. There's like a road sweeper or something outside cleaning up leaves from the road. It's also quite wet out there as well, which can make the traffic noise a little bit louder because I do live in quite a busy town centre. I've got the windows closed at the moment, so hopefully the background noise isn't too bad at the moment. So yeah, that's a German version, so I mean I wouldn't buy into that personally, but you can pick up the halves, the normal version. Here you go, here's the normal version for £75, and they're just a fantastic little product. I'd love to see them go across the pond into the US because it's just a cheaper way to buy into sets, but it's literally just like a booster box. You just get half the amount, 18. And what's really interesting is, as a sealed collector, right, I love to see a nice tight seal around the product, like a real pristine seal. And what's really interesting is some of the newer sets that have been coming out, especially here in the EU, the seals are awful. They're really like baggy. I think they've changed the plastic material that they're using for it, and sometimes they're really nice and tight seals, but sometimes they're just really baggy, the seal on them, like it's really loose, and I just don't think it looks good. I don't think that it's good to like, I don't know, I just like things pristine in my collection, and these little half booster boxes, generally the quality on them seems really, really good. You tend to have a really nice tight seal on them. I don't know if it's because they're packaged differently. They seem to be less likely to be dented and damaged in transport as well. I just love these. They're not that much bigger than a booster bundle. Actually, let me grab one for you off the shelf so I can show you. Rather than us looking at one on eBay, let me just look at my camera. There you go. Nice tight seal. Look how tight and pristine the seal is on that. I just love it. As a seal product, that is just fantastic. And it's such a nice, like, cheaper way to buy into a set than buying a whole booster box, especially if it's like a set that's really in print at the moment. So you might not necessarily want to load up on loads of it at the moment. Just buy a couple of halves to buy into the set, and often it's quite a lot cheaper to buy a half than a full as well. So if you're in the UK, there's that little tip or that little nugget for you. I'm sure most of you are aware of that already, and if you're in the US, then I do hope that product comes to you fairly soon, because they are awesome and they display really well as well. So to summarise, I think Journey Together is really going to reduce down in price soon. Let's have a look at Surging Sparks. Surging Sparks is coming down in price as well, as we've called it for a long time, just continuing to reduce down. Over the last 3 months, it's gone from its all-time high. It's now down 15% with the last sales on TCG Player to 225. Last week you were looking at an average of about 237, so that's come down a couple of percentage points. Again, I think Surging Sparks is going to get quite heavily reprinted. I don't think we're really going to see retail priced Surging Sparks sit around. You're going to see some get drip fed into the market and bought up instantly because people know you can just flip it. I don't condone flipping a product that quickly. I always say to hold it for longer until it's at least a couple of years old, or it's 2x, 3x, and then in that case, fine. There's just so much demand in the market, you selling it really isn't going to influence the price at all. But yeah, Surging Sparks, I think we're going to see it come down in price a fair amount over the next 6 to 8 months. Not as much as Journey Together though, because I do think Surging Sparks has more value than Journey Together, and it is a more popular set. Let's have a look at last sales then. $225. I think we're going to see a $200 Surging Sparks box fairly soon. Well, there you go. Last sold in the US, $200. I think we might even see it a little bit cheaper then. Maybe a 180, 170. Maybe not 170. I think 180 is probably going to be about the floor for Surging Sparks. If you can see anything sub 200 and you're willing to sit on it for a couple of years at least, then I think that it's not a bad pickup. I don't think it's a bad pickup at 200 either. I think that if you're trying to time the market though and get the absolute best price, I think that's going to be around about $180, and that's going to be at some point over the next 6 months. So keep your eyes peeled on that. Last sale in the UK is $193. That's crept up quite a bit considering there's been lots of real small waves of restocks on Pokemon Center UK. For retail price, like 140. So to see it creep up to 193 last sale is pretty interesting. I personally wouldn't move in at 193 because that's quite a lot in dollars as well. That's quite a lot over the price of what the US market is if you convert it. I don't know what the exact conversion is, $193 pounds to dollars, but that's way over 200. If I had to guess, I'd say, I don't know, like $250 or something like that. That's pretty expensive. I personally wouldn't move into it for that price. I'd wait for it to get a little bit cheaper. Buy point again, 170, 180, something like that. And I think that's definitely going to be achievable over the next 6 to 12 months. Just be patient with these newer sets. Prismatic Evolutions has dropped down in price a little bit again this week. It's gone from 121 average to around about the 120, a couple of sales for 113, 116. a sale there for 104, another one for 104. I do think that it's going to drop down a little bit further, but not much. I think we're going to see $100 prismatic elite trainer box, and I think once it hits $100, that's going to be that, because people will see it for $100 and psychologically they'll see that as a bargain and they'll just buy it out, unless they really print it into the ground. But I don't think they're going to with prismatic. I don't think their reprints are going to affect the price that much, because A, there's so much demand for the product, and B, because there's so much value in the hits for the product as well, which is just fueling these price rises. I think quite a lot of people are dumping product now because they're expecting it to drop quite a lot with reprints. But personally, I think it's, from what I've seen now, and I'm constantly adjusting my opinion as well. So if you see anything I say and you're like, oh, well, that's not what you said last week or 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, what I said 3 weeks ago is irrelevant now. Okay, the market is moving so quickly now. Just listen to what I'm saying now. Okay, I have to. I'm human. I need to adjust my predictions. My predictions 3 weeks ago are out of date. I've got 3 weeks more of data now. So they become more and more accurate as time goes on. So always watch the most recent video to keep yourself up to date. That's why you subscribe down below, to never miss an opportunity. There we go. Got the tagline in for you. I think $100 boost, $100 elite trainer box is going to be achievable very soon for prismatic, but then I don't think it's going to get much lower. So if you're planning on buying into it now and sitting on it for a couple of years, I don't think 115 is that bad, because I don't think you're going to get it much cheaper. At most, you might get a 10% discount over the next few weeks if you wait, but that's no guarantee on that happening. Last sold in the UK, £110, with the Pokemon Center version go for 177. So there you go. Let's have a look then at stock levels. US Pokemon Center. As always, guys, it's always a sad sight when I pull this up. It really is. Out of stock of every single product. Once again, even the little portfolios with one booster pack of Vivid Voltage in. Kind of crazy. Every single product with any kind of cards in has just been absolutely bought out. That's on the booster pack section on here. Let's have a look in the Elite Trainer box section. I haven't looked at this. Again, completely sold out on everything. Not a single product in the US market available. And that's why I believe all Scarlet and Violet booster boxes in the US are over $200 now. So that's kind of crazy that Surgeon Sparks is selling for $200 last sold. There it is. So is that the cheapest now? Is Surgeon Sparks now the cheapest? If it is, if that is the cheapest last sold for a booster box in the US right now, then I don't think that's a bad buy, because yeah, it's probably going to get reprinted a bit. However, I don't think Surgeon Sparks is the worst set. So if it is actually selling for the cheapest in the US right now, I don't know. Maybe that's a play right there for you. Let's have a look. Before we go into Paldea Evolved, let's quickly look at the UK market. We've still got Paradox Rift and Temporal Forces in stock. We're going to have a little talk about these later on in the episode, because where they've been sold out in the US for so long, you're really starting to see those inflated prices. And I think the UK will follow when we eventually run out of stock. They've been in stock forever. What feels like forever. You've been able to pick these up for retail. Honestly, those of you in the UK, now is the time to acquire these two sets. It really is. Because people in the US, if these restocked in Pokemon Center US right now for retail price, they would get bought up so quickly, it's ridiculous. Like, I think part of this whole investing, collecting, buying sealed product shenanigans, right? I think people don't focus on what's right in front of them. They always focus on what they can't buy. They always focus on what's pumping up in price. Now is the time to move into these sets, I'm telling you. Yeah, they're not the most popular sets in Scarlet and Violet, but there's no way in 2 years' time Temporal Forces or Paradox Rift will be selling for £143. And you'll be looking back and kicking yourself that you didn't take Papa PokePond's advice on this one. Shrouded Fable, again, terrible set, but available for retail for a booster bundle. Like, Kind of crazy that that's still available. And Pokemon Go, my gosh, Pokemon Go has been available for so long. I mean, it is a terrible deck collection box thing. I would not ever recommend buying that. But I just find that so mad that Pokemon Go is still available for retail, or at least some products are. Let's have a look at the Elite Trainer box section then. Again, I haven't looked at this since last week. And all sold out. Okay, cool, nice. Let's move on then. Paldea Evolved. Paldea Evolved is one of my top buys at the moment. I think Paldea Evolved is really starting to flex itself in the market. It's nearly out of print. It's not going to be printed for that much longer, if at all. And technically it's still in print window, but I really don't think they're going to print much of it. We're seeing big gains over the last few weeks, with 30% gain over the last 3 months, most of that coming in the last couple of weeks. Last week it was averaging about 296. Last sales, again, hovering about the same, 296, 296. To see price consolidate and to level off, I know the chart has it going down, but it's really not when you look at it. That's $2 from the all-time high, and it's actually selling for $1 over the all-time high. So that's just their chart averaging things out. But to see such a leg up in price for a set over the last few weeks that's not out of print, and then for the following week for it to not drop back down and for it to just level off, is really, really strong. I think now is the time to buy into Paldea Evolved. I think it's going to do really, really well over the next year. The fact that it's already up in the range of like nearly $300, I think $300, like I've said with a few other sets from Sword and Shield, $300 is a very psychological price point. Once it breaks through that, which I don't think it will take long, I think within the next 4 to 5 weeks, it's going to smash through that, and then it's quite an easy run up to $400 a box. I don't think anyone's going to take a second look at or not agree with the fact that Paldea Evolved should become a $400 box. And then once it's completely out of print and completely out of rotation, and we can confirm that, it's easy going to start moving up to $500, $600 a box. I really do think that will happen. Last sold in the US right now, 315. It's really creeping up in price, guys. It really is. Last sold in the UK, 265. Not that long ago, last month, you could pick these up for like 180. It's nearly 100 over. I think I bought one for 165 about 7-8 weeks ago. So that's already £100 over. I wish I'd have bought more of them, to be honest. But I think you're not going to get it any cheaper than that for Paldea Evolved. And I think that that is just the basement price now, 265 or 315. There's one that went for 309. I think that's a really good deal. I think anything in that range, sort of 309 to 320, 330 is a really good deal. And don't be afraid to pay all-time high prices for this kind of stuff, because I really do think it's just going to continue to pump and continue to grow. Once it's a $400, $500, $600 potential box in a year, 2 years time, maybe even much less than that, then paying 315, 320 just seems like a no-brainer. In hindsight, it's really easy to look back and say, oh, why didn't I buy it for that price? Let's talk about 151 then. We don't talk about 151 too much on this channel. We are expecting some small reprints for 151, but again, very, very small reprints, I think. I don't think they're going to make much of it. Again, if they reprint it, I think they might just do the booster bundles, and you're not going to see many Elite Trainer boxes flying around. Even if you do, I think they'll just get snapped up straight away and not really affect the price. Technically, it has reduced down in price a little bit over the last week. We're just seeing a little bit of price consolidation, but it's still up 13% over the last 3 months, and over the last year we're up 257%, which is kind of crazy for, again, a set that's in print. The chase cards are holding good value as well. The Charizard, the Sunzard is holding a decent premium on a PSA 10. And whether you like it or not, the card, whether you like the set or not, it's extremely popular and it's extremely iconic. And I think that once 151 is out of print and out of rotation officially, it's really going to start going to the moon. So we have reduced down in price a little bit this week. We've gone from a $228 average to like $222, but then Couple of sales there for 234, which is all-time highs. So it's kind of just hovering. It's more sort of stagnant than what the chart's showing. It's kind of just hovering around its all-time high. Like I said, I think there's going to be really small reprints of 151 on the way, but I don't think it's going to affect price too much if you're in the US. In the UK, I think we might see more booster bundles coming out, so I would hold off a little bit before buying into that if you're planning on moving into 151. But I don't think we're going to get that many Elite Trainer boxes. I think the Elite Trainer box is going to hold a premium as well over the booster bundle, just because it's a more collectible, displayable piece, especially if it doesn't get reprinted as well. $227 for the normal version in the US. Let's see if we can find a Pokemon Center version just to see what the price is on that. Just scanning through. There's one that went for $200, 210, 215, 215. Can't find a Pokemon Center version. There we go. Pokemon Center version, nearly at $500 now. That's crazy. $489. That's nuts. Sold on the 21st, which was 3 days ago. That is a huge premium on that. Kind of crazy. Personally, I don't make plays on Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs, but a lot of people make a lot of money doing it. It's just not a play that I make, because if the market takes a turn, yes, you've got an extra stamp promo in there. Yes, you maybe got one extra booster pack, but does that justify the extra cost? No. I think that when the market's running good, I think they do really well and they pump up in price because they're more limited, they're more collectible, etc. I get that. But I guarantee when the market turns, the demand for them will drop much quicker than the better pack to cost ratio products like the Elite Trainer boxes, the booster bundles, the booster packs. That's personally why I don't make a play on it. But a lot of people, as I say, make good money buying Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs. So it is a play, it's just a play I don't make. Last sold in the UK, £219. Pokemon Center version for $333. Interesting. Again, I wouldn't touch that personally. Twilight Masquerade. We've been following it creeping back up to an all-time high price, and it is now in an all-time high price and starting to accelerate. Twilight Masquerade is my number 2 top buy behind Paldea Evolved at the moment for sets to load up on now, which are already starting to flex their muscles before they're out of print and really start to pull ahead of the rest of the pack in Scarlet and Violet and show some serious data points that they are going to be in the top sets going forward for an investment or collection point of view. We're at an all-time high now on Twilight Masquerade. We've gone from a price last week of an average on TCG Player of $228. Last sales $244, $249. So if we go with $244 last sale, we're up $12. And you think, okay, $12, that's not that much. But 12 on 232, let's calculate out. 12 on 232 times 100, that is a 5.1% price rise on Twilight Masquerade, and it's still available, it's still around, it's still a fairly recent set. I don't know, it's getting up there in age a little bit now. It is a set that is chase or bust, i.e. there's one big card, if you hit it you win, if you don't hit it you don't. That's part of the joy and some of the fun, I think, of having sealed product, is it's just a little bit safer. We're not chasing one chase card, do you know what I mean? And I like the mystery of it. I like the fact that I've got all these sealed boxes behind me, and chances are, right, with all of those sealed boxes and all the ones I've got in the back as well, chances are I've got some pretty big chase cards in there, but I just don't know because I'm not going to open them. So we'll see. I do open some product, by the way. I am a collector as well. Occasionally I do crack some product. But hey, also as well, side note, Bulbasaur has moved to here on the shelf. He is guarding Box Mountain at the moment, so love my little Bulbasaur plush. He's keeping an eye over everything. But yeah, Twilight Masquerade all-time high, last sold on TCG Player $244. Really starting to pull ahead now. Last sold on an auction in the US for $243, so it's really shown that that's market price now. I think everyone's starting to get the message now and start to move aggressively into Twilight Masquerade, and I think the price is just going to continue to rise. Where do I see it long term? Let's make a prediction for it. I would say by the end of the year it's going to be at least, let's be conservative, by the end of the year it's going to be at least $350. I think realistically it's going to be in the $400 to $450 range by the end of this year. So in, where are we? We're at end of May now, in about 7 months time. Christmas is in about 7 months time. I think we're going to see a, $400 to $450 realistically, and I think worst case scenario like $350, but it just depends how much they reprint. I don't think they're going to reprint Twilight Masquerade that much. Why would they? They're just going to move on and do bigger reprints on, like, focus on the newest stuff. They're going to pump out a load of Destined Rivals, a bit of Prismatic, load of Surgeon, load of Journey. I think you'll see a little bit of Twilight, but it's not going to affect things when you zoom out to the long term, personally. Last sold in the UK, £180, really starting to creep up there in price and starting to pull away from those retail prices. There's another one selling for $193, including postage. Really starting to pull ahead. I think the Greninja Boy is gonna pull that set forward, and it's going to be one of the top sets of Scarlet and Violet. Not top 3, I don't think. I think it's going to be in the top 5, though. I think it's going to be equivalent to your other Sword and Shield sets where they've got a big chase card, like Silver Tempest with the Lugia or Brilliant Stars with the Charizard. I think personally it's going to be on that kind of level, sort of top 5. Apologies if you can hear an alarm going on in the background. I don't know what's going on with my city at the moment. It's going crazy, but we're just ignoring it at the moment. We're in our own little Pokemon bubble. So there we go. Let's have a look then at Paradox Rift and Temporal Forces. Now, like I said, it's in stock in the EU, Pokemon Center UK right now, and it's been out of stock for quite a while in the US, and you're really starting to see the price rise up on it and continue to rise as well because there's none available. It's up to 214 now, which is quite a bit over retail. So the fact that you can still buy it in the UK for retail, it's kind of a no-brainer to pile up on it now. Temporal Forces is the same as well. I personally prefer Temporal Forces to Paradox Rift. It's come down in price a little bit this week. It's gone from like a 212 average to last sale. See, this is where their chart is bad. So on their chart it says it's gone from an average of 214 to like 209, but then when we look at last sales, it's like 230, 222, 222. So Temporal Forces is at an all-time high and increasing in price as well. So if you go off of, let's just work this out properly. So on an average last week, it was like 214. Average last week to today is, so it's gone up like $14. $14 over a week. You can buy it for retail in the UK. It's kind of a no-brainer, personally. Paradox Rift is the same. Again, just creeping up in price. 22% price rise over the last 3 months. It's gone from retail. That's basically it going out of stock around here and it creeping up in price. I think the UK will happen the same way. Once it goes out of stock, that'll be it. It'll just continue to creep up. Let's have a look then at Scarlet and Violet base. The reason why we're looking at Scarlet and Violet base is because we don't look at it enough. It's not a bad set as far as base sets go. Base sets generally have a little bit less demand when you're trying to sell it. However, there is definitely a market for people buying them. A, to crack it to try and get certain cards to grade or make a play on it that way. But also, there's a lot of collectors out there that decide to collect one box of everything. And I tell you what, when you get to 4 years, 5 years, 6 years from now, there's not going to be that many Scarlet and Violet bases around. So the price is going to trade at a massive premium in the future. And I think some people are starting to realise that now, and they're starting to buy into Scarlet and Violet base. It's not actually that bad of a set either, and it's pretty old now that I don't think you're going to see that many reprints of it, especially booster boxes of it. Last week it went from 202 to like 219. So that's what, like $17? 17 on 202 is not bad, you know. 17 divided by 202, that's an 8% price rise on, 8.4% price rise on Scarlet and Violet base in 7 days. That's not bad. It's really starting to creep up there. And although, like I said, although it's not the best set, it's a play. And whenever I see a play, I'm going to point it out to you. That's why you subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity. We get that in as much as possible. Let's have a look at the big boy then, Evolving Skies, the talk of the town, the big king. Last week, 1622 average. We knew it was selling for much more than that. We were bordering on 2k last week. Again, similar situation, 1914. But this is the thing, okay? So last week, we were seeing it border on 2k on eBay. And now we're seeing like multiple sales around the 2k on TCG Player. Let's have a look on eBay. Look at this. Yeah, look, multiple sales. So 1925 last sold yesterday. 1900 yesterday. Look, we can keep doing this if we scroll down enough to find more. 2 for 3,500 import from Italy to the US. Kind of crazy. I would personally not ship 2 Evolving Skies boxes halfway across the world. I'd rather just buy it domestically, i.e. from someone in the US if I was in the US. 1825 sold yesterday with an acrylic. 1950, that's another one sold. 1800. Quite a decent amount of sales from yesterday, averaging around about 1900. Really positive to see that many sales around there. I think it's just going to continue to climb up in price. In the UK, 1800 a box now, 1749. I think people are really going to start FOMOing into Evolving Skies real soon. I think that it's going to continue its crazy pump going forward. But, you know, it's charged at a premium. At a massive premium. We're way over 10x. We're like, in the UK now, we're what, like 12x, nearly 13x retail price. Kind of a big risk to move into it, but it is one of the best sets of all time. 1700 is a lot of money to move into Evolving Skies. If you don't have that kind of bankroll, do not do that. There's cheaper ways to buy into it. For example, you could buy a couple of sleeved packs. Or you could buy an Elite Trainer box or something like that. So just be very careful. If you don't have the money, then don't feel you have to move in on this kind of thing. Fusion Strike has been on a crazy run over the last few weeks. We've been following it closely. Last week it was at 720. It's pumped up again. It's like 810, 830, 840, a couple at 850. There's one at 875 going there. If we take the average across all of them, it's like what, like 830. So last week, where are we at? Last week was 17th. So it's up $90. No, it's up $110. 720 to 830. No, 810. It's up $90. 90 to 720. Let's calculate it out. 90 divided by 720. It's up 12.5%. 12.5%. Again, another strong week for Fusion Strike. Kind of crazy. Absolutely going to the moon, Fusion Strike right now. And I think it's going to be clipping on the heels of Evolving Skies if it continues. If it continues this kind of run, we may see it pulling that little bit closer to Evolving Skies over the next year. It would be fantastic to see that happen, I think. And I say that not just because I own some Fusion Strike, but just because I know that a lot of you guys do. and I'd love to see you guys do well for it. Fusion Strike is one of those sets where we've been saying for over a year on this channel, back from when it was retail price in the UK, we were screaming at people to buy it. So I do hope that a lot of the early subscribers to the channel bought in heavy, took my advice, because I really would like to see them do really well out of Fusion Strike. I really would. Last sold in the US, $750 on an auction, $805 on a buy it now for minty boxes. Last sold in the UK, $547. I think that's the highest I've ever seen that sell in the UK. Kind of crazy. And then there's one there from, oh, that's from the 13th of April. I don't know why eBay started doing that recently. It started, even when you search for ended recently, it like puts one from ages ago like in the mix. That is your true last sold on the 24th, which is yesterday, for $547 plus a little bit of postage, basically $550. Let's have a look at Astral Radiance then. Astral Radiance is another one of those sets where we were calling it way back here at around about the $230 range, saying it's massively underpriced. It's nearly doubled up on that in the last 3 months. It's up 73% in the last 3 months. It just had a lot of room to grow, that's all. It's a really good set. Last sold 400. However, before that, 2 for 465. So if we take an average between the two of them, we're looking at what, like 440? We'll be conservative. We'll say 430. So 430. Last week it was at 404. So it's up like 26 bucks. 26 on 406. It's up 6.5%. 6.5% in a week is not bad, especially when you look at like, I always look at like what the best rates are with like a high interest bank account in this country. So like a normal savings account in this country, you're lucky to get like a few percent. You'll get like 3%, 4% if you're lucky. I get much less than that with my bank, but I just don't want to go through the hassle of moving banks. I get like less than 2% interest on my savings, which is kind of bad. But anyway, yeah, 4% for a really good bank account in the UK, and that's over a year. I'm sorry, but Astral Radiance has done that. Oh, I've taken it away. But Astral Radiance has done that in the last 7 days. And that's why so many more people are moving into Pokemon Sealed now. Whether you like it or not, you have no say over it. And it's not my channel that's doing it, I'm telling you. We are such a small part of the community. Even when you take all the other Pokemon YouTubers that talk about buying sealed products, and there's a fair few of them out there, some of them are much bigger than I am. Even if you put all of our fan bases together, we still make up less than like 0.1% of the people buying Pokemon products across the world. I think people really forget to realize just how big Pokemon is worldwide, and just how many people just buy product and just rip it, and that's it. That's all they do. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. And there's nothing wrong with buying sealed at all. Like, I get quite annoyed at people speaking out, being very vocal, especially in comments, etc., about being negative to anyone in the hobby for doing anything, really. Particularly around sealed. We can all buy and collect however we want. Okay, let's just keep this hobby positive. Let's have a look then at last solds for Astral Radiance. 385 in the US. It's really creeping up. Every time I seem to check these, they seem to be at an all-time high. All of these Sword and Shield sets now that they're officially out of print. 291 in the UK. Let's talk about Crown Zenith. Crown Zenith is... Oh, good. The alarm's gone off in the background. I don't know if you guys could hear that or not, but it was terrible. It was doing my head in. I'm sure it will start again soon, so we'll try and wrap up the video nice and quick. Crown Zenith, pretty much just holding at an all-time high on the chart. Last week, $158. Last sale, though, $165. So it's actually not holding. It's breaking out again. It's gone up $10. Which is like, let's just calculate it out. $10 on like 158. We're just doing rough numbers here. $10 on 158 It's up about 6%. If we're being conservative, it's up like 5%. Crown Zenith is just always cranking up in price. I call Crown Zenith my high interest bank account because that's what it feels like. Crown Zenith feels like it's just a safe bet. It just grinds up slowly. It just chugs along. It never does anything too volatile. It never like shoots up 40% or shoots down 20%. It just tends to do a couple of percent each week, just slowly builds up and compounds up. I love Crown Zenith, I really do. I need to buy some more of it really because it does just continue to go up in price. Brilliant Stars obviously had a big leg up in price over the last few weeks. 434 last week, now around about 430, potentially dropped down like 1%. It's just a bit of stabilization, it's just a bit of consolidation. That's normal when you see such a big aggressive shoot up in price on anything, on stocks, shares, any assets, any Pokemon boxes, anything like that. If you see a massive shoot up in price, it's normal for it to just consolidate down a little bit or just level out and stay average. Let's have a look then at last sold in the US, $385, and last sold in the UK, $314. Silver Tempest is basically done the same as Brilliant Stars. The nice thing about Silver Tempest and on Brilliant Stars is we've been talking a lot about Brilliant Stars and Silver Tempest breaking through that $300 price point, and once they do, they're going to quite quickly shoot up to the 400 range. We're really seeing that with Brilliant Stars. It broke the 300 mark consistently about 2-3 weeks ago, and now we're seeing it really push up to 400. I think we're going to see the same on Silver Tempest. Now Silver Tempest is pushed nicely over the 300 mark. I think we're safely over that now because we've got so many sales over 300. I think it's going to be quite an easy run up for it to the $400 range over the next few weeks. Last thing I want to talk about is the section of the video that I love doing every week right at the end, where we talk about something a little bit different. Today we're going to be talking about Team Up. So Team Up is one of the later sets in the Sun and Moon era, which seems like forever ago now. It's been out for a very long time and it's been a very successful, well-performing booster box. Let's have a look at these last sales then. Last sales, look at this. So on the 16th of this month, it sold for $6,000 on TCG Player. However, if you look at it on the 15th of March, it sold for $15,500, and then if you look at it on the 12th of April, the 12th of February, it sold for $4,400. So over the last, over the last 3 months, 3 months apart from the top to bottom sale, it's gone from 4,400, basically 4,500, to $6,000. That's crazy. So it's gone up $1,500 in 3 months, which is nuts. Now, I'm not saying this is a good play to make, but I always point out plays. That's part of what I do. I just think that it's really interesting. Personally, I wouldn't buy into Team Up for $6,000. I can think of much better ways to spend my money. And the reason why I wanted to talk about Team Up is, if this is selling for $6,000, okay, say you put $6,000 in and you want to double your money, it's going to have to sell for $12,000 before you double your money. More than that when you count in fees, but let's not talk about fees or taxes. You're going to have to lay out $6,000, lock up $6,000 of money, and it's going to have to double in price to $12,000. It's going to have to go up another $6,000 for you to double your money. If we take a set like, let's see, Surging Sparks. For you to double your money on Surging Sparks, yeah, you'd have to buy a load of them, but for you to double your money on Surging Sparks, it only needs to go to $400 a box. Now, which do you think is more likely to happen? Surging Sparks going to $400 a box in the next 2 years, or Team Up going to $12,000 in the next 2 years? Could go either way. Either one of them could win. For me, I think the safer bet is to buy into Surgeon Sparks. But I thought that was an interesting play, and I thought I would let you guys know that. Before we finish the video, I'm not being rude and looking at my phone. I'm pulling up the shout outs that I've got to make, because we have a membership program on YouTube. If you want to join the membership program, then there is going to be a link down below in the description, or you can just log on to my page from a laptop or a computer or a tablet. It doesn't seem to work on the mobile app unless you follow the link down below. There are 2 levels. There's one level which is like a basic support level, just to support me with a few bucks each month. I appreciate anything. The higher level, again, is just showing more support. It does cost more money. However, you unlock the ability to connect to me on social media. So basically, I will add you on Instagram, and I will be at your beck and call. I will answer an unlimited amount of questions via Instagram DMs about anything. I will teach you whatever you want to know, all of my knowledge over the last 10 years. The people that have subscribed and made good use out of it are people generally who are going to be spending a lot of money coming up. So they want to move into investing in more. And I tell you what, the membership pays for itself, because the guidance I can give you will mean that you will buy things that are more profitable. You'll be able to make more educated decisions on things. And I also give you a shout out at the end of the video. So shout out to Grand Panda, Philip H, Sam J, Adam F, and Nathan A, who are all subscribed on the highest level. Thank you to all of you. You are also, all of you, helping to contribute to my dreams of one day becoming a full-time content creator. Maybe it will happen one day. I'd love to be involved in Pokemon full-time. That is the dream. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and peace.